welcome to another episode for this podcast. Today, my guest is Jesse. Jesse is a CEO and partner at Sobedia. And one thing, Jesse, I looked at a little bit of information about you. You're very good at building a relationship, which I'm not as good as. So I'm looking forward to learning that from you as well. How are you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing quite well. I strongly disagree. I've enjoyed our conversations to date, so I think you can build some relationships yourself.
Thank you. I was looking at room to improve on that area. So tell us a little bit about Sobedia. What do you guys do there, and what is it all about?
Absolutely. So we're a boutique digital marketing agency. So we're full service. We're 7 employees full time, and then we have some contractors in different parts of the world that support our team. And full service, from the foundation of digital marketing is typically a website or what we're sending people to. So we create that. And then we have different means of sending people based on what that particular business is. So, we do search engine optimization, Google advertising, Facebook, Instagram advertising, LinkedIn advertising. And then we kind of tie it all together with data and analytics. So we can tell our client, you're spending this much money on this platform. This is how much revenue we've derived for your business. And we have that growth mindset with our clients. If we're delivering, we expect you to grow with us, kind of thing.
I see. So if you give us a little bit of background, Jesse, how does somebody inspire to become a digital marketer in your area? Like, how did you give us a little bit background? How did you get to Sobedia?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a family company. So I get to work with my fiance and my future father-in-law. But I was in digital marketing well before that. So at least my story is I started in business when I was 15 with a rusty lawnmower and some door knocking. And I got involved with, different websites. I started a YouTube channel, a Fiverr business, and started making money early on that way and started marketing myself. Always knew that I loved business and marketing. And then I started to kind of explore what digital marketing was of, ranking a website and getting traffic and understanding all the different ways to get eyeballs, because ultimately, we want eyeballs and attention because you can monetize it, which I learned really early on. But you want to get the right people to your site. So, I went to school. I went to college for business administration. It wasn't. There's marketing and accounting and finance and a whole bunch of components to that. But I always loved the marketing. Now, it was traditional marketing that I studied. And I, for the most part, self-taught myself in regards to like the digital side of things. So, trial and error on my own ventures, some failures and successes. And I've been in the digital marketing agency space for, about 6-7 years kind of thing now.
So generally speaking, when business owner come to you or when you talk to a business leader, what is the underlying problem they're trying to solve? Is it generally simply just increasing revenue, or is it a presence sometime, or is it something get a brand? What do you see that general problem they're trying to solve in the market?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of people don't know what their problem is, and we kind of answer that for them. More often than not, it's revenue. It's growing a business. Typically, if someone says, I want more awareness, why do you want the awareness? And it's typically because they want more revenue and to grow the business. But it is, awareness in of itself is something to try and measure and look at. Everyone's different. It depends. So we have different companies we're a diverse agency. So we work with, companies that have their own marketing team, they're 100+ person company. And we have, the smaller companies that are, 5-10 people kind of thing. And they maybe don't even have a marketing person. And I find the metrics change massively based on the size. So, you get a big company, a client, and they're like, this is what we're measuring, this is what we're looking for. Where you get the smaller person or smaller company that's like, I don't know. I just know I need to be out there on Facebook. I need to have ads running. I need to come up in Google. I don't know how you do that. But I know it's important. I know it's going to grow my business, kind of thing. So we help shed light in both of those situations for the bigger companies and the smaller companies.
Where do you see a bigger challenges comes in this area? Is it more of a coaching, education piece that you have to educate people, or is it actually doing a work? In my space, doing the work is the easy part. It's a coaching and education is a big. So how do you guys find a balance between those two, and how do you approach it?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very good at doing the work, and I think the education piece is huge. Even like for new prospects, very commonly they don't know what they're even looking for. I once had someone tell me, don't sell someone on something that they don't think they need, and I've always disagreed with that, because often, I can go back to someone and say, you actually need this, and here's why. And I believe that if I can ultimately show them why they need what we're recommending, they will be open-minded to it, as long as the data is there to reinforce that. So I think, it varies person to person, but I think the educational piece is big. The bigger companies typically, our bigger clients know what their, what Google ads are, what LinkedIn ads are. They likely have campaigns running before they even come to us. But often, we have a lot of smaller, medium-sized clients where that education piece is huge, of really showing them what needs to be done. And in the agency space, the digital marketing agency space, is really important to set expectations. So it's in our best interest as well to say, hey, look, if you're going to do search engine optimization efforts, we're not going to rank you on the first page of Google in a month or 2 months, 3 months. It's a long-term focus. So we educate, and in part of that is, setting expectations so that, our working relationship is set up, the highest probability of success from day one.
So where do you see, Jesse, most of the challenges? Is that either you're working with a leadership team, president of the company, or C-level people, or marketing agency? What do you see biggest challenges these folks? Is it on a personal level, or is it a mindset that they're not getting through, or is it simply just not putting a priority on a marketing? What do you see the biggest challenges that you come across?
Yeah, there's a few main ones that stand out to me. One of them is, to invest more if your investment's paying off. I think we do a pretty good job of our clientele having an investment mindset. Like, through COVID, I would say over 50% of our clients increase their monthly retainer with us, but there's always going to be the clients that, are set in their way. And, even though we're, producing, 10 times the revenue that, they're spending, they just decide not to increase that, even though we know we can scale it and they can make more money. We're always working in their best interest. So there's that. And then the second thing is sometimes, you're going to have companies that are obviously very, very passionate. Entrepreneurs are very passionate about their business, and there's certain things they won't let go of, certain things that they've done for a very long time. It could be, the type of designs or ads that they've done, or the messaging, when we might have a really good recommendation and they just might not be open-minded to it, or testing, a new platform that we feel would be applicable. So those are typically the conversations that we see as, getting our clients to be open-minded to change, because in the change, more often than not, we prove that it's worthwhile for them.
Yeah, change management is always difficult. That's a piece scares a lot of people. Hey, this is a new way of doing it. But wouldn't you agree that's the reason they hire you, that bring the knowledge to impact the change? No matter what you do in a company, it has to introduce some sort of change in a company, right? So not being open to change, that's defeats the purpose of hiring somebody from outside like you with the skill set and knowledge that you bring to the table. So how do you handle that from an education piece? Is it simply coaching, or is it a long term? How do you handle the change?
Yeah, it's the process really starts, at the beginning in our conversation. I tell them what we expect from our clients, what you can expect from us. And, before they sign anything to work with us, it really starts there, is in conversation. But that does continue, every single month. We actively share. The nice thing about digital marketing is, we don't have a plane up in the sky, making smoke letters or whatever a plane would do. We can actually track everything we do. So, month to month, I can say, hey, you remember that change that you fought us on, but you eventually agreed to? Well, we launched that, those ads on LinkedIn or whatever it may be. Here's the performance. It actually exceeds what we've been doing to date. And then they become more open-minded and susceptible to change when we can show them that, any change that we have had them agree to has worked. So it starts at the very beginning, before they're even a client. And then every single month we're sharing with them what we're doing, the results of it. And, if there is change and change is working, absolutely. We really stress that. And they start to, have that mindset of, oh, change is good, sometimes.
So, where marketing leaves, that sales team has to pick it up. So how do you guys manage that interaction between sales and marketing? Wherever marketing left, wherever the leads come, then sales has to drive that change, the sales funnel through the whole process. Do you guys interact with the piece, or you just leave it as, hey, listen, from here on, sales has to take care of it?
Absolutely. That's a great question. That's another thing we actually try to instill in our clients is the understanding of, we can do our job, we can market, we can get you all the leads in the world. They can be qualified leads, but if you can't sell them, that's not our responsibility. Yeah. However, we do take a bit of that responsibility on because it is, if the client's goal, which, like I said earlier on, is ultimately to increase revenue, you need to be able to sell. So every single one of our clients is a bit different. So we work with different, CRMs or tools to organize leads because every company uses something a bit different. So we understand the sales process of every client of ours because, even to the point, some clients prefer phone calls, some clients prefer form completions on their website, and understanding why that is in their sales process helps us as marketers. And we'll often even advise, sometimes we'll run messaging ads and we can see how the salespeople are interacting with the leads we're generating. And you don't want to have a disconnect between marketing and sales. It's very important, as I'm sure you can understand, to have a clear connection. So we often even tell, the salespeople what campaigns we're running so that, when you get the lead, they're not like, hi, how did you find us? They know, so our clients, the sales teams know, how the person came to them, where they're from, what type of, creative and messaging we're using so that, they can ultimately close more sales because they understand what's happening in the marketing side of things.
Very interesting. Okay, so let's talk about COVID. So what do you see the changes in the COVID? How does that impact, the work you do, both on marketing and the sales side? How did COVID impacted this work, as far as the challenge for you? Where do you see that, first of all, the biggest impact from COVID on these two areas?
Yeah, for us as a digital marketing agency, thankfully, like I said, we're digital. So we've grown tremendously, and but I've definitely been humbled by the businesses that haven't grown, and we have a good understanding of the landscape. We're fortunate we didn't niche in travel or anything like that. Our clients are all kinds of different businesses, from trades to B2B software, psychotherapists, you name it. So we're pretty fortunate in that regard. I think what we see from business owners is some are doing very well and some are really, everyone's having to innovate to some degree. Home-based purchases are doing very well, obviously. We see that, people are taking the money they used to spend on their vacation and they're like, well, where do I spend my time now? It's at home. So I'm going to buy a new bed or a new couch or new flooring or, whatever it is to make my space, because you spend more time in your space and you have additional money. So, we see the correlation there. Restaurants, definitely, like restaurants and dealerships, they're hurt a little bit more from COVID. But once again, it's a big thing of innovation. I think we had a lot of companies come to us saying, I own a restaurant and we've always been reliant on people coming in, and we're not even on Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes or anything like that. And what do we do? Our website's super outdated and all this, and so it's been I think COVID's been a huge catalyst for people to go digital, which we've seen in our business. And yeah, those certain industries were hit harder than others, but what we found was a huge opportunity for them to innovate, and if done successfully, they actually are thriving. So we have restaurant clients that are thriving, through the type of advertising that we're doing that their competitors aren't doing, and really going and just embracing online ordering and digital. And when it's done successfully, I think some of these businesses, they're going to come out, if we ever come out of COVID, with a completely different mindset of different revenue opportunities for them, because a lot of them are reliant on people coming in.
Nice. Well, hope so. That's what it looks like everybody's talking about. So from marketer standpoint, Jesse, both for messaging and communication, right now there's so many messages from government, or health and safety reasons out there. Does that create challenges for a marketer, or from a marketing standpoint, to communicate with the people you trying to communicate with? Because so many health and safety, so many COVID messages out there, so many vaccines messages there, and they need to be there because government needs to communicate with the population. So does that create any challenges from where your space for you to get your communication across?
Yeah, we've spent a very large amount of time. I mean, there were nights where, I didn't go to bed till very late because we're working, updating client messaging and, the things we can and can't do. And then, 1 second, I mean, it's everything. When you think about it, we're responsible for a lot of the websites, the messaging, the ads. So, when the government, also we have clients, in North America, so different, every state, every province is going to be a little bit different likely. So we almost, we're always trying to understand if something changes, and we have that communication with clients of, if something changes, like let's say, and all of a sudden they have to close down for 28 days because there's a lockdown. We have to then, update the website. We have to maybe take ads down. Maybe we have to modify the messaging of ads. So, for us, it created a lot of additional work, and, it was a lot of work to the point where we almost lost leading in a lot of months because we like to over deliver, but it created so much extra for us. The thing that we decided as a company was, bite the bullet and we do it. We spend all this additional time updating things, and then getting them back up, changing messaging, and whatever it took to help the clients during, difficult times. If their showroom had to be closed for a while and we had to pivot all messaging. And we got pretty good, truthfully, at pre-preparing for changes, whether we think a lockdown's coming or if they're gonna have to change some sort of restriction. We already we're at the point where we're so used to it that we're kind of streamlined. We're like get some ads created because the next 2 weeks they're going to have to go to online ordering focused creatives. So we won't be able to promote the patio anymore or whatever it may be, or the showroom. So we got pretty good at it. It was definitely and has been a lot of additional work for us.
So with that, challenges during the COVID, if a business leader, they're trying to prepare, definitely right now the revenues are not there. They want to come back to it. So during this time when you're trying to get by with the COVID, what are you guys recommending your client? Do they, slow down on investment in a marketing, or they speed up? Because if you speed up, you can get the message across very easily out there because not a lot of people doing it. If you hold it back, then do later on. So what are you seeing happening in the market, and what are you guys recommending?
Yeah, I think it's we're not an agency. We don't just sit here and biasly advise a client, continue spending, or go to them and say now's the time to spend more just because we get to keep them on a retainer. A lot of our clients were like, we're not marketing for you this month, so you're not going to pay us anything. That's just the way it is, right? So it is really like everything we do, situational based on the client, where they are, a little bit about the business. So we have auction insights. So like for paid advertising, for instance, we can see whether or not people are converting. And what we'll often do is we'll look at it on a client by client basis. And if, we find that first particular period of time, and if we foresee, for the month, people are just not going to convert, what would likely advise is we keep awareness and consideration. So in marketing, there's really 3 layers of the funnel: top, middle, bottom, which is awareness, consideration, and then you're going for the close, the conversion. So we'll likely do more top awareness marketing during that period of time if we know people are just not going to convert. And then we'll, when they come out of it, like let's say it's a lockdown or restriction, then we'll say, okay, let's start to put more of the ad dollars into conversion advertising. So that way we keep them out there. And sometimes, we can identify just huge opportunities. Like there was 1 week for one of our clients where we identified that none of their competition was advertising, but it was a point in time where we saw, like a lockdown was going to be lifted and demand was going to start to pick up. So the auction became very cheap for us to advertise, and we actually told them to increase spend for that period of time. So it's very situational. It's always going to change, and we do a good job at monitoring that. The auction, what competitors are doing, and when it makes sense to advertise, and what part of the funnel.
Mhm. And that's critical to have that insight on what's going on in the market, and then you can pivot your approach based on the knowledge that you gain. That's very critical. Interesting. One of the, I think we noticed, and especially in the COVID time, technology cannot ramp up. A lot of companies invest so much in the developing technologies. Look at Microsoft Teams or Zoom. They spend so much money and effort into taking the technology to different level. What do you see technology changes in your space, and where you see is going even after COVID? What kind of technology you interested in, and where you see that is making a little bit of impact on what are you trying to do in a communication and marketing?
Yeah, I mean, even you just kind of talk about sales and marketing and the correlation between them. So I think the tools like our clients are utilizing are very different. Even tools that you've utilized, like Vidyard and such, like things like that, Zoom, right? I mean, us as an agency, we had an office. We decided to, reduce overhead and all go remote, and it's working out. There's pros and cons to it, absolutely. And we try to figure out how to have as good of a work culture as possible. And yeah, like our tools are changing, our client tools are changing. Like sales process, more of our clients are using Vidyard to create videos for outreach. We're doing Zoom calls with all our clients. For us, it's given us a bit of a chance to innovate and look at tools and software for automation. I don't know whether that's particularly COVID related or the fact that we're just trying to innovate, but we were investing a lot of money into new tools that allow us to streamline reporting or automate some of these things that are done manually as well for us. So there's different marketing tools for that. We use a lot of tools, everything from SEMrush, Moz, Screaming Frog. There's a lot of different tools that we use. Whether that's COVID related, I'm not too sure, but I think Vidyard and a lot of these video tools are just a huge part of it. So we advise clients to ultimately do that, and even work sometimes to tell them, like, there's tools that we can use. Like, a lot of people go to a website and they don't convert, or our jobs to ideally increase the conversion rates. But there's a lot of tools that will collect data and have a match rate of saying, someone from this company went to your website, and then incorporating something like Vidyard, reaching out to them on LinkedIn saying, hey, I saw you're on my website. Did you have any questions, kind of thing. So the videos are huge. We've done video reports for clients for a very long time. Some clients, we'd have meetings right in our boardroom back before COVID, where that's now video. So we do a video walkthrough at the end of the month saying, this is what we've done, here's the performance. So it's just a different means, I think, of communicating.
How about social media side of things, Jesse? A couple of technologies emerged during this COVID. One is TikTok, another one is a Clubhouse. Any views on that? You see people already investing dollars and for advertisement into those two platforms, or is it still too early to advertise in both Clubhouse or TikTok? What are you seeing from a business standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, we truthfully don't do a lot of TikTok advertising, but those platforms are really growing, and it is an opportunity for the right company. There's ways to angle it for a more mature audience, but those platforms are typically younger. There's a lot of change happening on those platforms. It's still an opportunity, just because what happens when a new platform comes out, like when Facebook came out with their advertising, or Google came out with Google advertising years and years ago, that was super cost effective. It still makes sense for our clients. There's still a return on ad spend. But what happens over time is when you get more and more advertisers advertising, those costs, your advertising costs increase. It's just supply and demand. So like, TikTok, for instance, in the next year or two, there's going to be a lot more people advertising, and your costs are just going to be more. So it is an opportunity to still advertise on it, especially if, for TikTok, for instance, if you're a younger audience, you're trying to influence. But at the same time, it is changing. There's a lot of targeting functionality in TikTok, and they're building it out. So I think there's opportunity there. We don't do it for a lot of clients, but we have seen some success.
I see. Interesting. Yeah, I talked to a few people. They look into those two platforms, Clubhouse or TikTok. They're trying to advertise. B2B, I'm not sure how much presence for B2B, but I think business to consumer, there could be a lot of presence and people trying to advertise on those platforms, right?
Absolutely.
So business leaders like myself, we all, just passed the COVID. Now Ontario, we almost about to open, and I'm not sure where Ottawa is, where you are. But if they're planning, we all got to push for revenue when everything goes back. We go back to offices. We miss a lot of time. A lot of business leaders are planning that, hey, when I go back, I need to do these 10 things to get back to revenue. What do you recommend from marketing standpoint? Can they do something now, so prepare themselves so they're ready when we go back to offices? Some of the items they can do now, prepare themselves. And what do you recommend when they go back in office? What they got to focus time and energy on?
Yeah, I mean, we never, like, us internally, and what we advise clients is we almost don't have that perspective of, what are we gonna do when we go back to things. It's like we're always looking at what can we do now. But I think, when some of our clients, like, they're like, let's say a flooring client or a dealership, or like the showroom's closed, they're really trying to hone in on the processes, and I think sales is a big part of it, marketing is a big part of it. So like when they reopen, we're already prepared to promote those things, right? Because there's pent-up demand in many different industries. I mean, travel is definitely one that you want to kind of capitalize on. People will buy online 100%. We've proven it. Companies around the world have proven it in many different industries that weren't typically online, but we've been forced to go online because of COVID. But there's still that demand to walk in and look at the flooring you're going to buy, or look at the car you're going to buy. So it's very important to have every company, if you're in that space where, something's closed, a facility that's important to the sales process, the marketing team needs to be completely ready to promote that, in advance, not when it's, we're open now. Definitely when you're open now, you want to have we're open now, or showrooms open now messaging, but well in advance, just saying, opening whatever day. There is a risk associated with that, obviously with regulations. One day we think we're going to be open next Friday, and that's not the case. But I think just to double down on that and say, hey, look, we're open, come in. And in marketing, there's different psychological factors that you can utilize. So obviously one of them's, urgency. So we've had success with clients, not using fear, not using fear per se, but just saying, hey, we're open right now. And people understand, like, they might not be open, in a couple of weeks from now, given the way things go nowadays. So what we'll often see is we double down, and then our clients, they might have to bring in a couple additional salespeople for the next 3 weeks because there's pent up demand. We're marketing aggressively, and people start filling the showrooms, and obviously still being COVID safe. So yeah, we see a lot of that, and then people are really urgent because they want to go in and make this decision. They've been wanting to do it for weeks, but just the online side of things is not enough for them to actually make the purchase.
Yeah, that's what I seen in the COVID. Talking to a few people that simply, one thing COVID did is it forced businesses to, if they sell product, to reinvent the product, innovate product in their own space, right? Or if the service, you have to reinvent the service. Either the delivery has to change, or simply that what you're delivering a services, that has to change. You have to add something, and that also require communicating back to client, and that's where you guys come in. Yeah, redevelop the product or innovate the service a little bit, but how do I communicate it back to client or market? That's where you guys. I think that's where it's becoming critical. That you can develop whatever you got to do, but it's time to communicate to your clients or your prospects.
Absolutely, they want to stay in the loop. Just because you might not be open, they still want to be informed and up to date. So it's our job to keep potential customers informed.
I see. So what's on a short or long term for Sobedia? What do you see that what are you up against in going forward? The rest of the 2021, or even going forward, or what's your challenges? Where are you trying to take it to this organization? What's ahead of you?
Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate to double our clientele almost in the last year and a half. We have some very, very large goals in the upcoming years. I think digital marketing is not going anywhere. There's going to be a lot of new, like we talked about, platforms. So there's going to be new platforms to explore, new forms of artificial intelligence and automation, digital marketing. There's a lot of new components of data, like Google has their Google Analytics 4, which is not where it needs to be yet, but it will be there soon, which is going to give additional insights and for businesses and clients. We're on a big growth trajectory as a company. We've refined our process. We found out truthfully how to show clients results, how to justify growth into us and their growth. So I think digital is not going anywhere. COVID, I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. But I think people are entrepreneurs are still hustling and they're still growing, and that's not going to stop. And we're the same. So, and we find that since all of this, people are much more receptive to digital marketing, and they understand more of the importance. Where before they're like, I don't need that. I do $200,000 a month of people just coming into my business. I don't need to be online. I've never done that. Where now it's like, I realized that I probably should have done that. So for us, we're going to continue to grow, give value. And we're looking to be 15 employees in the next year or so. So we're looking to double our employee count and some pretty big goals. And
Nice.
Our clients ultimately want to grow every single client, ideally 30% revenue year over year at least. Which we're on track to do for pretty much all our clients, which is good.
So every time you embark on a big growth, there's always challenges. And including myself, when you grow, trying to grow a business, there's always going to be challenges. If you talk about a couple of bigger challenges that you guys have to deal with in the past, or where you see the challenges coming your way, even in a growth you embarking for this year or next year, any challenges comes in your mind, important ones that you can talk about even in a historical or in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. I think, a big one is hires. We're not meeting people face to face. Once again, talking about technology, we use Zoom's great for that, but there's just something about, being in the same space as someone to really pick up on the cues and, I don't know, the energy or the vibe of the individual, where sometimes you don't get that on Zoom. But finding really good talent, I think, is a big struggle. We go through a lot of people to get people that fit and are good and talented and hungry to always improve, right? So finding talent is definitely a big thing. And then another big thing is with growth is allocating resources, whether it be money or time, to the different people. So like us as an organization, a while ago, I wore a lot of hats. I did a little bit of everything. Right now, I'm largely focused on, bringing clients, making sure they're happy, a little bit more of the business development side of things. And then, some operations, making sure everything's functioning. So we've really changed, what hats we wear as a company, and then, roles are kind of pivoting. We have account managers, and so our structural hierarchy as an organization has changed. When it was just a couple of us, years ago, we didn't have the ability to have an account manager that would communicate with strategists, which would communicate with, a paid advertising expert, and having different lines of communications between, our organization, the client. That's completely changing, in a really good way. But organizing that and getting the right people in the positions while scaling, making sure, the revenue's still coming in and expenses aren't, astronomical. Scaling that's been a challenge, but I think we're on the right path.
Does this growth also create challenges for business, leadership standpoint or management standpoint? Now you have to manage a lot more different layers of people. It's a different skill set you have to manage. So does that create a personal challenge that you have to learn new skill set? Hey, listen, maybe I got to look at things differently. What I was doing before, it's not going to be the same anymore. I need a different skill set to move us forward. Absolutely.
I mean, I used to do a lot of it. So my mentality was like, I can do it, which is broken. Often, I want to take ownership. And one of the big things I've struggled with is letting go, right, of some of these responsibilities as we grow to, allow our specialists to work in the area that they're truthfully more skillful than I am and better than I am. But I take so much pride in the things I used to do that letting go of that's very difficult. So from a leadership standpoint, I've really had to learn that, even to the point of, being on a meeting with a client and, we have, our SEO specialist or our Google ad specialist on with me, and, they're talking about whatever area it may be. And I want to jump in and I want to say something, and just to keep myself reserved and not do that takes a lot of will, I guess. And I'm getting better at that. And now they're starting to, run meetings with clients and such. So definitely a lot of changes as we've grown from a leadership perspective, and even having all these different people or different team members involved. We want to make sure that they're always in the loop with clients, because our team really does care. At the end of the day, one of the things that we stress is, yes, we're growing revenue for the companies, but you have to have a why to what you do, right? Like I'm a big Simon Sinek start with why fan. And for me, it's like you got to look deeper. When you're growing a company, you're ultimately putting food on the table for all the people inside that company. And the companies we work with are all great ethical companies. We have a choice to pick our clients, which is great. So we're also connecting people to the things that they love, right? So we really try to instill that in our entire team to keep them fueled and understand that at the end of the day, yes, you might be doing this micro task of switching out an ad or changing metadata on a website so they rank better, but you're ultimately feeding the people in that company. You're making their lives better and helping them grow. Even to the point, unfortunately, we had a client who was in business with his wife, and she passed away, and they were in business together for a very long time, and it was just a reminder for us. He came to us and said, it's very unfortunate. My wife's passed unexpectedly, but it was her dream to make this a reality, and he had all these goals, and he's like, I've loved working with you guys for a long time, so let's make this a reality in her honor. So we try to instill that. So leadership wise, we try to fuel everyone and make sure that they know that they're a critical piece to the puzzle at the end of the day for our organization, as well as the people we serve.
Yeah, definitely. Those you always got to pivot your leadership skills. It may not be your way or may not be to your level, but it's somebody else doing in their way. They try, as long as they're trying to make a best effort. I think as a business leader, we just gotta step back and then let them drive the whole change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very interesting. So one thing I see, how do you connect with the people? Where can they find you? And also, I saw on your website, that you were mentioning that for clarity, that people can connect with you. How do you help in that? If you can talk about that, the process. How do you help people to gain a little bit of clarity when they're trying to figure out where to invest money and what direction to go? So if you can talk about the process, how do you help people just to gain a little bit of clarity?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can go to our website, soapmedia.ca, SOAP. People ask what SOAP stands for. It's not a bar of soap. It's socialize, optimize, analyze, promote. So it is an acronym.
Okay.
Common question we get. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Jesse Perreault, JESSEPERREAULT. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I've been on the platform for quite some time. I typically post videos. I started like the LinkedIn local events in the Ottawa area here many years back. So love LinkedIn for that. And if anyone's interested in just understanding, what the landscape looks like in their industry, where they are, what they're looking to achieve. We are, it is truthfully a limited time thing. I don't know how long we can do it, where we are giving, free recommendations videos. It's part of our sales process currently. Scalable, I don't know. So it might very well go away. I'm not just saying that as an urgency factor. But for now, that's what we're doing, and it's great. So you go to our website, you can book a discovery call. It's with myself, and then we ask a bunch of questions pertaining to yourself, your goals, your business, and then we take those insights and then we process it as a team. So we come together as a team, we look at it, and then we use a lot of our paid software. So we pay a lot of money for software and different tools. We research what your competition's doing, what we like, what we don't like, and what we think you could do better. And then we share all of that, like, which is a complete value. Here's the value. And then we'll attach a proposal. This is what it looks like to accomplish everything that's discussed in this video. You can either proceed or not proceed. But at the end of the day, it's a ton of value. So it's like a 30-minute discovery call. We probably spend somewhere between an hour, 2 hours putting together our research. There's a good amount of time involved in it. And often more than not, they're like, wow, I had no idea that my competitors were advertising here, or I had no idea that I should be doing search engine optimization because of everything you showed. So people can just go to our website and book that discovery call whenever they want some insights.
Well, that's a great value, as a business leader, I would say, gaining clarity always a challenge for any business leader, right? So that's where we struggle. If, you doing that even before we make any commitment to you, simply, getting the clarity, what direction do I go in? What's my competition doing? That clarity, I think, is very important to business leaders. So any business leader who's listening to our podcast, I will strongly recommend that, take you up on that offer and, go and, connect with you and get a little bit idea, where's the market going, where's their competitors are doing it, and where should I go invest, my funds and how do I get the value out of it? So I think it's a great value, that is great service that you get providing for a lot of people. So where can, beside your Sobedia, where else can people connect with you if they want to reach out to you? Is LinkedIn is the ideal page, or what else can?
I would say LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I don't utilize it truthfully. I had to pick my platform of choice. It made sense for me for two reasons to pick LinkedIn. One, I'm very much a business nerd, so I used to post on Facebook, and people are like, "This guy just talks about business. I don't really care," So that was one thing, and then also just B2B platform, LinkedIn. It's the nature of our business, so we get a lot of business through it. So. LinkedIn would be, the place to connect. You can send me a Facebook request, but I might not ever accept it because I'm never on the platform. And, I don't spend time on Facebook or Instagram or anything. I know the platforms, obviously, given our business and how they function and what's happening to a degree. But LinkedIn's where to connect with me.
Yeah, there's so many platforms. You're definitely going to pick your platform where you're going to play. And you rather put energy on one platform than divide. We do the same thing. I think, everybody has to pick the platform they're going to play on, right? So makes sense. Okay, good stuff. Yeah, we record this video, and I'm definitely going to include your contact information just below the video as well. If somebody want to reach out to you, they can simply click a button and they can reach out to you as well. And they can connect with you if they find value.
That'd be great.
Good stuff. Thank you so much for your time, Jesse.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Take care, bye-bye.